In the last week, there have been over 230 million in the last week health-related inquiries on ChatGPT alone. This isn't something that's going to affect your practice in 6 months from now or in 2 months from now. It is something that is actually going to change on a weekly basis. That number is unfathomably large. ChatGPT Health launched closer to the beginning of the year, and one of the core things that it did is it's serving as an integration tool for clients. They are very much positioning this as a tool to help empower people. The language here is really important. Empower people to be better prepared to walk into their medical appointments and to consolidate information on the backside. At first glance, that actually sounds really great. In fact, I also want to acknowledge at first glance, it's probably something we would all say we would love our patients to have access to. Very similar, what Claude is looking at doing is medical record access, clinical workflow integration. They're integrating in a lot of the things in the exact same way. So they know they're in a very unique position to analyze data very quickly. Copilot Health is Microsoft's answer. This is more of an enterprise type solution. This is a tool that's available to clinics and primary care clinics. It's making primary care physicians' jobs easier in terms of consolidating some of this data. Perplexity Health is a search engine, an LLM-driven search engine, and Perplexity Health in the last month has connected to consumers to 1.7 million care providers, principally in the United States. What does this mean? It means that ChatGPT and Perplexity, because ChatGPT connected 2.4 million people to consumers in the last month, these are the two largest health practitioner directories currently available on the planet. There's no quality control here. This is simply how fast can their system scan the internet to find you. What these companies are doing with these types of tools is they are removing things that were already broken components of our practice to start with. I'm going to say this one more time. They are replacing things that were already broken components of our practice to start with. We don't earn any meaningful revenue from running labs. Primary care clinics do not earn any meaningful revenue from writing scripts for GLP-1s. We don't earn any meaningful revenue from delivering transactional care. And in fact, the deployment of transactional care is one of the biggest risk factors inside your business. If there's one key area where I want you to put a red alert flag and pay attention, it is if you are still deploying transactional care. What do I mean by transactional care? I mean you are selling an hour of your time as a chiropractor or 30 minutes of your time as a naturopathic doctor. Because what happens when we sell individual transactions of our time is we see, on average, consumers work with us for 4.2 visits. And then they gather enough information, or they're sufficiently overwhelmed, or they're questioning where it's going, and we lose them again. Where we get outcomes is when we deliver transformational care. What all of these tools do is they engage clients in a series of transactions and then they leave them falling off a cliff. We already know that. We've already all flagged this. This is bad medicine. It also means your biggest opportunity in this landscape right now is to talk about how you pick people up at a slightly moved line of fine, where they've had blood work done, they've tried a few supplements, they've maybe had an opportunity to speak to someone, maybe a health coach, maybe somebody else, but it actually never addressed the breadth of care they needed. Before we go any deeper on this, I want everyone to just sit with this for 1 second. If someone came to you after having 1, 2, 3 interactions with one of these platforms, they've had some basic functional medicine testing done, they have a few answers, they've been given a few supplements, what and where is that patient at in terms of their state of confusion and need? Where is your ideal patient at in terms of that state of confusion and need? Just like sit with it for 1 second. because this is one of your newest entry points into the work that you do. And it's really, really important to understand how many people. This is part of our intellectual property that we use to position some of these elements. And when we talk about the intelligent practice, what we are talking about are the core things you need to build inside your practice to start to protect the work that you're doing. But this is the road map to how we deliver profitability within your practice. This is the roadmap for how we add more equity to your business. There's 3 sides here I want you to understand, because all 3 of them will be impacted by AI. So don't worry about the tiny little pieces here. But the first side I want you to look at is methodology. What am I talking about here? We've talked a long time about this idea of building out your own methodology or your unique approach to care. This is, in a nutshell, moving from selling your time to selling your strategy. What does that manifest for your business? An offer, not 30 minutes of access to you as a naturopathic doctor, but it is the architecture of a strategic and transformational delivery of care that moves people towards a real outcome. And a real outcome is not, I empower patients. That's not a real outcome. That's a side effect. Everyone here empowers their patients. ChatGPT empowers people. They're like, I got an answer I never got before. That's not a differentiator. Having an outcome is a differentiator for a group of people who are willing to pay and contribute their time to getting that outcome. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about methodology. So it means designing what we call a signature care system. It means establishing your authority and niche, and it means packaging these out in offerings that people want to engage in. It's a more strategic lens than here's 30 minutes of my time. So we need a system around that. We need a system around our marketing. And we, as a whole, are generally, as an industry, one of the things we all have in common is we're a little bit allergic to marketing. We get too close to it and we break into hives and it's a whole thing. And then there's this piece down here. For the purposes of this slide, because I really like the way all the M's fit together, we called it mechanics and multipliers, but what this really is operations. Remember 2 ways we drive more profitability in your practice? Retention, people stick around longer. Why are they doing that? Just Cole's notes, because you actually have a system of care. But the other place where we unlock profitability is in streamlining operations. This has the potential to open up your margins closer to 25 to 30%. That's a game changer for you. That's a difference in 5 years around when you're going to retire.